And welcome back to Comic Frontline, everybody. I am Brant FOWLER, aka the Gonzo Goose, back with you for another episode of Brant's Weekly Comic Rankings, the series where I rank my top 15 books of the week from lowest to highest. And this week, all my top 15 were 3.5 stars and above. And I only read 16, so the one, if you watch Frontline Live, you'll find out what my worst pick is, which is the only book that I'm not talking about tonight. So let's just dive right into this. Alright, so number 15 is Domino Annual, number 1, 3.5 stars. I still like this story, but it was kind of just an anthology story. It showed how Diamondback and Domino met, Outlaw, and a few other fun stories that kind of took place with the three of them, and just with Domino, and like a flashback story with her and Cable, and things like that. It was a nice kind of trip back down memory lane with Domino and learning more about her. And I've really enjoyed what Gail Simone's been doing with Domino, but we got to see some other creators. We got to see Fabian Nicieza revisit the character from his X-Force days and things like that. So it was a fun issue. Number 14, Spider-Geddon number 0, another 3.5 star book. I thought it was a solid issue. It was much better than the Edge of Spider-Geddon stuff, and I enjoyed Superior Spider-Man. I'm just not sold on the event yet. The Spider-Verse wasn't the best event for me, and this is just a sequel, kind of a follow-up to that. And so I'm kind of concerned that it's gonna go the same way. So we'll see. Number 13, Action Comics 1003. This was a very solid issue. A lot of great things happen in it, but at the same time, not a lot of progression. I didn't think it was as strong as the past couple of issues of this series since Bendis took it over. I know other people feel differently. They feel exactly the opposite, but I've enjoyed the series up till now, and I'm still enjoying it. It was still good. It felt a little bit for me with this issue. Number 12, Stranger Things number 1. I love that they explored the time that Will was in the Upside Down, as opposed to just kind of doing retellings or doing, like, I don't know, just stupid filler stories. This was Will's adventures in the Upside Down, the parts that we didn't get to see in the series. So I thought that was really clever. The art was pretty spot on with the character likenesses. Is the same kind of moody and dark and edgy kind of thing. So a really solid start for this miniseries. Number 11, Doomsday Clock number 7. Everything here and above is 4 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it had a lot of great moments in it. I think Jeff Johns really got the voice of Dr. Manhattan. I feel that the stuff with Marionette and Mime was really solid. Batman was even challenged here. Rorschach and Ozymandias, that whole relationship splintering and falling apart. There was a lot to love about this issue. It was probably the strongest issue we've had in a while of the series. Number 10, Amazing Spider-Man number 6. Another fun issue, just not quite as good as the first few. I love the stuff with Sports Trivia Night. Again, this is a 4-star book for me. With not sports trivia, Spider-Man trivia, and just all the roommate stuff. It's Boomerang, the Nick Spencer revisiting the superior foes within the pages of Amazing Spider-Man was classic. It was this fun kind of little side story that's going to lead us into another arc. But so fun book. Number 9, X-Men Red number 8. I thought this was a solid book as well. You had Jean Grey battling Cassandra Nova mentally, and they finally get the key to finding where she's at and take the fight to her. And in the meantime, they pull together and use Gabby and Laura to take the strain of the physical strain of what they had to do with the psychic abilities and everything. It was a pretty good issue for the teamwork aspect of it, if nothing else. Number 8, X-Men Blue number 36, final issue. And I know a lot of people fell off of this one, but I actually really enjoyed these past couple of arcs that we've been presented, and this was a nice finality to it, as young Jean Grey gets tied up with the X-Force. crew. And, well, that happened in Extermination. I'm getting my books mixed up now, but I still thought this was a solid end because it was like, okay, we need to go, we gotta go now, but we're gonna go help these people first. That's what happened in this book. So I thought it was a nice fitting into this chapter of the young X-Men's lives. Number 7, Man-Eaters number 1. I thought this was a pretty good first issue, and interesting take on some interesting issues. That's all I can really say. These girls turning into cats, turning into big cats that kill everyone in sight when they happen to get their period. It's an interesting concept. The art was really nice, and the main character, the girl that's narrating it, kind of reminds me of Molly from Runaways. So the art and her appearance kind of pulled me in right away, even if the topic is a little bit edgy and controversial. But I'm curious to see where this goes. Curious as a cat, I guess. Number 6, Extermination number 3, and this is the one I was alluding to. That Jean Grey ends up with the X-Force team as they're going after young Cable, and you get the confrontation with Ahab and all that, and they find out there's another player on the board who's taking them. They don't know why, and then you get a few people turn into hounds, and that whole thing and how that plays out. It's really interesting stuff there too. Not quite as good as the first 2 issues of this. I have to say I was blown away by those first 2 issues. That they both made my top 5. This one just outside of it. Warning, if you don't want to be spoiled for this week's Frontline Live, save your place here and come back and watch this later, because we are now entering Brant's top 5. Alright, so number 5, Faith Dreamside number 1. I love Faith. I have loved Faith since they introduced her in Harbinger, and I followed Jody Houser's take on Faith ever since she began, and I love it every time, and this is no exception. A fantastic next chapter in the story of Faith as she's helping Animalia and she's on the run from the cops and all this stuff, and it's just another fun Faith story. Number 4, Batgirl number 27. Full of emotion in this story, and full of heart and full of action and just everything you could want from a Batgirl story. As she struggles to maintain her memories as they're starting to fade, and she has no regard for herself. She only cares about catching this guy before he kills more people, and I love that aspect. You've got to play with so many elements of Batgirl in this issue. Really good issue. Number 3, Sentry number 4. This one punched up another level too. You had Scout with the full Sentry powers, but Sentry finally he figures out what he's got to do. He's got to embrace the Void. He's got to embrace Bob. He's got to embrace all aspects of himself and pull them together. And then we get Big Red Sentry, whatever that means going forward. But it was really cool to see and really interesting story-wise. Number 2, Heroes in Crisis number 1. I love a good murder mystery. I don't care what people are saying about this. The deaths don't matter. Yada yada yada. Why kill him so soon? Whatever. It's a murder mystery. It's comics. It's a grand scale. It could be anybody, and it's just an interesting story with beautiful art. That's what I loved about it. And number 1, WWE NXT TakeOver Redemption. We got to see kind of in the mind of Aleister Black, which is an up-and-coming superstar, kind of top level in NXT in present day. And you got to see his feud with the Velveteen Dream, which was just a really cool feud, as Velveteen was like, say my name, and he finally gets that justification that he means something, he belongs, after Aleister Black beats him, and you get to relive that entire feud, and some other superstars as well throughout NXT, and it was just a really solid end to this journey through NXT. So those are my rankings. Hope you liked them. If you did, please give it please give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe and the notification bell so you get updates when Comic Frontline uploads content. Come back here next week for a brand new episode of my weekly comic rankings. You can also follow me at Brant FOWLER on Facebook and Twitter, at Last Number Press as well, and at Zone 4 Podcast. Tune in this Friday for a brand new episode live right here on Comic Frontline of Zone 4, and tonight for Comic Book Club as we're talking Saga. So thank you guys for watching. Till next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.